It's the Brad and John Show.
The Brad and John Show for Monday, December 30th, and it's the C block, which we start around 7:40. I'll give you a reference for people listening in the future of where we're talking about or when we're talking about. Okay, this is a question I had for you a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't really know the answer. Neither of us know the answer, and I found this. I think I found it on your site, the Columbia Missourian article about Missouri faces questions on prospective sports betting rollout. Wasn't that on your site? Didn't you have that as one of the headlines?
Yeah, it's actually by Missouri Business Alert, and it was syndicated by the Columbia Missourian, yeah.
Pretty interesting article, and essentially it talks about the fact that according to the amendment, the states, the Missouri Gaming Commission must make sports betting available by December 1st, 2025. So we're talking 11 months, about 11 months from right now, since Wednesday is going to be the 1st of January. So we're talking 11 months. And I'm thinking to myself, why does it take them that long? I mean, I'm thinking to myself, the FanDuels and the DraftKings of the world, if all of a sudden Missouri called them and said, hey, we're going to let you guys start tomorrow, they would put a call into their IT guys and they go, okay, unblock Missouri from the geofencing and we're getting moving on. Isn't that what it would take?
I think so. But Brad, and implementing this, the state agencies, whether if you're the Missouri Gaming and the Missouri Gaming Commission or others, it takes time and staffing. And think of how many layers of approval every word has to go through, every disclaimer, every sign off, every process. And I'm guessing, Brad, because of the way government works, nobody in state government could get working on this until the measure actually passed. Well, I'm sure there is a provision that says you cannot start laying the groundwork for this stuff until the election results have been certified.
Well, that's been almost 2 months ago now, right? I mean, it'll be 2 months as of Sunday, because I
think the election results were certified probably 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay, certified. I thought you meant it would pass.
No, certified. Yeah.
Okay,
but you get the point, Brad, and we don't have to split hairs on that. But there's a whole lot of processes that cannot begin. To your point, if you're FanDuel, you could do this all in a week. Somebody would have you be working weekends, and you would be done in 10 days because there's profit incentive there. And by the way, if you're FanDuel or you're DraftKings, you pull out your hair every time you get an update from the state of Kentucky or Missouri or Michigan that's like, we've seen some delays in the implementation. And you're like, get your stuff together. How are you guys moving so slow? It's got to be maddening for those folks.
The FanDuel and the game and the other sportsbook operations?
Yeah, because you're like, hey, state, exactly what you said, Brad. Dude, get on it. Why is it taking this long?
Well, but see, the other thing is we're going to have, as I understand it, we talked about this one time before, physical locations for sports betting in Ballpark Village. Wasn't that the deal they talked about? They're going to have a physical location there, and they're all possibly going to have physical locations in Busch Stadium as well, too?
Well, that's what we heard from Greg Keller, who was a spokesman for the pro side. He said that could be one of the options. So I haven't seen that anywhere else, Brad, but we did hear that from Greg on the air. You're right.
You mean you haven't seen that everywhere in other states, or you haven't seen that?
No, I haven't seen a word of that mentioned in any Missouri news coverage. We heard that from Greg Keller, but I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Well, the article is interesting because it goes in and talks about the fact that even though they say it's not going to be officially, it has to be officially implemented by December 1st, 2025, they're saying it'll be done by the summer because you have to get ready for the NFL season, and they can't miss September. They have to be up and running by the 1st of September because that's one of their big months. And not only that, you have obviously you have the ending of the baseball season where things are going down to the wire as to who's going to end up being in the playoffs and stuff like that. And you have the beginning of the basketball season in October, and obviously you have the beginning of the NFL season. Actually, technically, I guess they start in August now, don't they? Don't they officially start this last year? Wasn't like one of the first games in August because they've knocked out one of the preseason games and they've added a 17th game to the schedule. I think that was what the deal was.
Yeah, you're right about that. And let's not forget, too, that sports betting extends to CarShield Field. In December, you can bet on how many people slip and fall and break a bone at Jingle Fest. Shout out to Mike Carter. Who responded to us, over the weekend. We love Mike.
Was that a positive response or was that a negative response that Mike Carter gave us? I mean,
it was about our segment about when Brad, who's 89 years old, finally learned what a sunk cost is. Yeah, I mean, I think Mike was applauding us.
Well,
I mean, we don't live for his applause, but we were giving him credit in that segment that, I mean, at least I was, of at a certain point, not every campaign goes your way. And Mike Carter is a smart enough guy that he's not going to keep putting good money after bad, right? Sometimes you take an L. Like, it's not, Brad, you've said on the show before, if you take a lot of risks, you're going to swing and miss a lot, you know?
It's called fail fast. That's what it's called. But see, the difference is Mike Carter put a ton of money when he ran for state senate, and I don't, you know, and he took a big loss in that one. But he didn't do anything in the Secretary of State. I mean, why even bother? It's like, do you know who Arnie Dienoff is? Do you know who this guy is?
Yeah, we talked about him on the show many times.
Arnie Dienoff is this guy. He lives someplace in St. Charles County. Not exactly where he's at. You go to any city council meeting, any county council meeting. You go to the library meeting. You go to the fire district meeting. There's Arnie. And Arnie will always get up and he'll have his opinion. And he always runs for something. He always runs for county executive, okay? Would you ever go to him and say, Arnie, dude, give it up. You know, I mean, you're never going to get elected to anything. Why do you even bother? Why do you spend the money, you know, to register? You can't, you know, that's not for free. You got to spend some money to register, and you got to form a political committee, and you got to have a Mike Summer kind of guy, or maybe Mike Summer himself, do all your accounting work. Where's the money coming from? Who's giving you money? I don't think anybody's giving Arnie money. Don't you think he'd learn? But you say no, right?
Yeah, he absolutely won't learn. And Brad, there's something to be said for if you see a fellow older gentleman that spends some money on some side quests that don't 100% always pan out. You have a soft spot in your heart for that, right? I mean, like, not 100. Again, you're not going to make 100% of your shots.
John?
And by the way, if I was friends with Arnie, I wouldn't tell him anything. I'm not a New Year's resolution guy, Brad, but one of the things that I must continue to do in 2025, and I would recommend everybody do this, is just smile and nod. Somebody's saying, Arnie is saying he's going to run for an office, smile and nod. Go get him, Arnie. He's going to do what he's going to do anyway. Somebody's starting a new business. Somebody's pretending they're going to update a website every day or do a podcast. Just smile and nod. They won't, because they're lazy and disgusting and don't follow through with anything. But just smile and nod. It's not your responsibility to say, hey, by the way, you quit everything you do after 2 weeks. You're never going to follow through on this. Just smile and nod. Let them fail on their own.
For those of you not tuned into this show, that's John talking about me. That's what he's really doing.
Brad, I'm absolutely not talking about you. I'm talking about plenty of people. Over break, I had lunch with a friend of mine who I've known for a long time. And sometimes you just hear people that are making plans and you know they're going to give up after 8 days. And if you have enough history with them, and you've told them enough times, look, you don't follow through with anything, you're just going to quit. You don't just smile and nod. Oh, that sounds great. You're going to go get them. Sure. And, and then you go on and all you can handle is yourself. I'm so tired of seeing this time of year resolutions. And that's why resolutions don't work. People don't change their behavior. Like, you're going to stay fat and disgusting and lazy. And I'm not talking about you, Brad. The collective men out there are going to stay disgusting and lazy, and your wife is going to continue to let herself go because she thinks that you can't do better than her. And she's right. You're never going to get off the couch. You're going to want to watch some fat guys chase a ball on the field today. Ooh, go Tigers. Okay. Meanwhile, the rest of us are doing something of significance.
And the perfect example of that is you go to the gym on January 2nd and you can't get on the treadmill. You go to the gym on February 2nd and you can have any treadmill you want, right? Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, and I heard over the weekend there's an official day. I don't know if it's January 8th or exactly when it is, but it's been dubbed Quitter's Day, which is when people will quit. Now, Brad, what you do is what I love about what you did about exercise, Brad, is that a lot of people say, oh, on January 1st, I'm going to start exercising. Brad, you have been exercising 3 or 4 days a week for how many months now?
Quite a few. And there's
exactly. And let me interrupt before you finish. Let me interrupt. You, Brad, could have sat there and said, well, I'll wait till January 1st and then I'll totally start working out. You didn't do that, Brad. You started early, and that's why you continue to have consistency in this.
Well, I missed some days, I'll be honest with you. But, once again, the crazy thing for me is I learned this years ago. We used to do stuff with the American the Arthritis Foundation. And Arthritis Foundation, as a lot of different organizations, some of these healthcare organizations went through some changes. Used to be a lot of medicine. And now what they stress is they stress motion. And matter of fact, when we used to do things with our Arthritis Foundation, the lady would show up with a box, like a box that had hundreds of them, of pedometers. And they just give them out. Hey, put this on your belt, and your goal should be 10,000 steps a day. And I truly do that. When I go shopping, for years I've done this. I'm never the kind of guy that's, I got to get that parking space in front. It always sort of drives me nuts when you see these people who are like, you're trying to get down an aisle, and it's blocked because somebody's waiting for someone that's walking up the aisle. I park in East Jesus. And the idea being is that, and typically when I go into a store, if I know what I'm going to the store is on the right side of the store, I'll go to the left side of the store and walk around the back of the store, okay? And I'm not trying to say, I'm great, but it's one of those crazy little things that you do this every day, and I used to keep track of it, very carefully, and almost every day I would hit, even if I wasn't super active, I'd do 8,000, 9,000 steps easily on most days, and some days 13, 14, 15,000 steps. And once again, it's the kind of thing that if you just sort of incorporate it into your life, what do they say? A habit takes 21 days to take hold. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, changing subjects. I should have talked about this last week. I saw this article, and this is not necessarily totally changing subjects. I'm going to read you a headline. I don't know if you've seen this before. San Francisco hires morbidly obese person to promote fat positivity. Did you hear what I just said, John?
I did. That's terrific. Oh, good for them, Brad.
Okay, here. Then, once again, I'm not making this up. Now, John, have you seen the picture of this person they hired?
I have not, no.
Okay, hold on a minute.
I'm guessing it was taken with a wide-angle lens.
No, hold on a minute. Hold. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna text you. And by the way, John and I are not in the same studio. We're not in the same zip code. So I'm gonna send you a copy of this picture. Okay, and when you open it, tell me. Do me a 3, 2, 1, and then open it. I want to hear your reaction. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I just sent it to you.
3, 2, 1. Oh, is that a man or a woman?
I don't know. Her name is Virgie Tovar, its name is Virgie Tovar, and she's the new, it doesn't say she, San Francisco's new fat positivity expert, causing a stir before she's even, now it says before she's even sunk her teeth in a job. A newly resurfaced clip of Tovar, who has described herself as a leading expert on weight-based discrimination and body positivity, shows her talking about how cutting back on cake is a form of oppression. Okay.
I wish I had seen this before the holidays, because I would quote that a lot as I go back for seconds.
Right. Here's what's sad about this, okay? I have someone in my life who right now has a family member who has some really type 2 diabetic problems. I have several people in my life who have type 2 diabetes. My father ultimately died of complications from type 2 diabetes. And John, you don't have to be a medical expert, but if I said to you, what is one of the leading causes of diabetes in adult people? What's type 2, which is usually type 1 you're pretty much born with, but type 2 you develop through your life. What is one of the most common causes of type 2 diabetes? Go ahead, John. Give me the answer.
Obesity.
Exactly. And how in the world does a government agency hire someone who essentially is, you saw the picture and you just see her from like the shoulders up, I would say she's probably 300 pound plus, maybe. Wouldn't you guess at that? Wouldn't that be probably good?
Yeah. And Lord knows how. She could be 300 pounds at 5'2".
Right. Right. Okay. To me, that would be like saying, hey, you know what? There's this stuff called meth, and a lot of people say it's bad for you. Do all you want. And cocaine, just snort that stuff up your nose till you pass out. And alcohol, you should be buying 2 bottles of vodka every day to just, shoot down that vodka. Just, tilt that bottle and see if you can drink the whole bottle without taking a breath. Most people go, oh my God, that's terrible. Why would you tell somebody to do that? Or go smoke 5 packs of cigarettes a day. Yep, that's right, 5 packs of cigarettes a day. How in the world a governmental agency can hire someone who is promoting obesity? Does that I mean, I read this article, and once again, I talk because I walk the walk. I graduated from high school at 162 pounds. I literally weighed myself on graduation day at the gym of Hazelwood High School, and 2 years later, I weighed 310. I know what it's like to be obese. I know what it's like to be morbidly obese. I fought that battle for years. I fight it every damn day of my life. And to me, it's a personal insult if the city of St. Louis or St. Louis County or St. Charles County hired some fat guy or dude or dudette to essentially say, well, you know what? There's people are being discriminated against because they're overweight. I would say, you know what? There may be discrimination, but throw that aside. It's a death sentence. Get what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying. But once again, someone's feelings and the feelings of a tiny group of people, Brad, how many times have we seen, in order to protect the feelings or emotions of a tiny group of people, we have to change reality. We have to let a guy go into the Lifetime Fitness women's room. We have to allow fat advocacy, a government to promote fat advocacy and fat acceptance, even though we know that it literally leads to death. But God forbid somebody get their feelings hurt, man.
It's like the guy, and here we go, you're talking about the numbers, and we didn't really talk about this much. The guy who was the NCAA chief, president, whatever he is, the head honcho, the head poobah, the grand poobah of the NCAA, he was being questioned on Capitol Hill a couple weeks ago. Did you see that testimony, by the way?
I did. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And they were talking about the fact that, why are the transgender people essentially making the rules? And the question was given to him, how many athletes are involved in NCAA sports in all levels of all colleges? And I think he said 500,000. Well, it's like 500,000. And he said,
something like that.
And he said, how many transgender athletes are there involved in NCAA sports? And he says, 10. So we're rewriting the rules. We're essentially saying that these 10 athletes and the Leah Thomases of the world can go into the women's locker room and bare all their parts and show their twig and berries to the other girls and stuff like that. We're doing that for 10 people? Things like that just drive me nuts. Why are we changing the rules? That would be like somebody who came from England saying, when in England we drive on the other side of the road, so I'm going to drive on the left side of the road. And all of a sudden people going like, okay, on 270 when you're northbound, there's this English guy that lives down there in Kirkwood, and he goes to work out in Earth City, and every morning he's going to be driving the wrong way on 270. But that's
a great analogy, Brad.
That's because he's from England, and we're not going to try to change him because in England they drive on the left side of the road, not the right side of the road. So when you're going south on 270 between 8 and 9 o'clock on Monday through Friday, watch out for the guy heading north in the southbound lanes. It's like, no, you don't do that. Go with the flow, literally in that case, observe the rules that everybody else observes and shut up, right?
I think that I just got an alert on my phone, and I have it attached to your insulin reading, and you need to have a little Debbie as soon as possible, Brad. Your insulin's getting very low. And if you don't, I'm going to come over there and cut off your leg.
My dad, I will tell the story. We don't have time this morning, but whenever I get blood work done, the first thing I always ask the doctor is how's my A1C? And almost every time they say, which to me is a thing of pride, because if my dad was still alive, he would be very proud of me watching this very carefully. Most of the time, my doctors, whoever's reading the report, will say, you couldn't be any further away from being diabetic. And I'm like a 5'1", or if you know the numbers, I think when you hit to like 5'7", there's pre-diabetic. I think by the time you get to like in the mid-6s, you're actually a type 2 or even a type 1. I am far away from that. And the crap I eat all day long, the Mountain Dew soda I have sitting in front of me today, it's Diet Mountain Dew. There's an interesting story behind that. But once again, take care of yourself. If people are looking at you and saying you're fat or you're being discriminated against because you're obese, don't care about what they say. Care about your personal health. As my dad said to me one time when I got heavy at one point in time. My dad was a man of few words. I'm over cutting his grass one day. This is in the fall, and he was watching football, and I walked in the room to sit down and talk with him for a few minutes, and he looked at me and he says, "GD, you're getting fat again. You're going to end up like me. Lose the damn weight." And I went out the next day and within 30 days lost 20 pounds. And to the point where sometimes it takes someone kicking you in the ass. And I mean, that if you're a farmer, you have those donkeys out in your field. Someone kicking you in the donkey to have your eyes open and go like, you know what? He's right. He's not saying I look bad. He's caring about my health. Get what I'm saying?
I do. Virgie Tovar from San Francisco does not approve Brad's message, just for the record.
And you know what? I could say to Virgie, whatever her name is,
What's that?
Get bent, right? The Bill Eichel sign or statement, right? Get bent, Virgie, right?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Say goodbye, John.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?